Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over two different articles dealing with the subject of women in their 40s and 50s, recently divorced, and back on the dating scene, and discovering, guess what, it's not as cracked up as we thought it would be. That the whole idea that we're going to be able to be single and free and be just as desirable to men as we were when we were younger isn't exactly working out too well. And you're going to see here that both of them had the idea that it would go pretty well, especially the one in her 50s. And you're also going to see here, especially the one in her 50s who's complaining about it, how when she got divorced when she was in her 40s, she didn't have a problem with younger guys wanting to hook up with her because obviously, they're like in college and she's in her 40s and all that, the whole older woman thing. But guess what? They weren't interested in any kind of serious commitment. None whatsoever. It was hook up, that's it. And she's also finding that dudes her age, they're not interested. And the same thing with the other one as well. So I'm doing this, guys, to show you how the mentality is, and I'm sure many of you guys are aware of this, that the gals have that, hey, I'm just as desirable, and it's being sold to, hey, you can be free, you can be on your own, and it's going to be great. And, well, it's not exactly as it's cracked up to be, and these two women, are sharing their experiences in that area. But this is something we all know about quite well. So I'm going to go through the first one, dealing with a woman in her 50s. Then afterwards, I'll go over the one with a woman in her 40s. So the first one starts off saying, I didn't want to be this divorced. I'm 55 years old and looking for a date. It starts saying, I used to envy divorced people. I had a protracted spinsterhood that lasted into my 40s, and towards the end of my 30s, I discovered that between the 1960s and 2005, being divorced had gone from being a liability to being preferred. A conversation with a man I met through an online dating went like this. This is the dialogue that she went through. Have you ever been married? He asked over the phone. We liked each other's profiles and we were chatting to see if we wanted to meet in person. No, I said. I was 38. He asked, have you ever been engaged? No. Have you ever lived with anyone? No. I was picking up on a pattern. Have you? I asked back. He says, yeah, I had a girlfriend and we lived together for a couple years. Okay. Pause. Well, I just kind of prefer to stick with people who have been in a committed relationship, he said. Well, I've been in committed relationships. Yeah, but it's not the same. What I discovered from this man and others was that at a certain point, my never married status had gone from being a plus to being a big negative. I began envying my divorced single peers. For successful middle-aged dating, the divorcees were more appealing than I was. So, her friends that were divorced, who she was envying because they were having a good time dating and all that, she was having a hard time because she didn't have much of a past. And you're going to see here, she's like, okay, well, I'll go get married, and then I can get divorced, and I'll be appealing. Watch this. She says, then, in 2008, I got married. And in 2014, I got divorced. I'd achieved the dream. You want to see the stupidity here? She's having no luck. Okay, I'm going to get married. And then 6 years later, oh, well, I'm divorced now. This is insane. No, being divorced hadn't really been a goal per se. I'm being more glib than the sadness and grief that I went through deserves. I wanted to stay married and felt devastated when my then husband told me he was done. Maybe because he could probably sense you were never totally into it. There's probably a lot of underlying issues going on there, and a lot of underlying issues why you got married in the first place. But my service as a wife was no longer needed, so after grieving and establishing my post-divorce household and lifestyle, I look forward to a new life. A year and a half passed, and then I started dating again. It hasn't gone well. Imagine that. So many nowadays, this idea is being sold that, hey, you can start over and it's going to be amazing. All these dudes will be beating down your door. Not exactly. Now, if you're a gal who's in shape and takes care of herself and is pretty, okay, you're going to have dudes that are going to be after you. But the thing is, if she's in her 40s or even 50s, the kind of guys that may actually be interested in that commitment are going to be older. Okay? Probably 50s and 60s if she's in her 40s, or much older if she's in her 60s. Unless she's really takes care of herself and it happens to be a relationship dude. But the guys that are in their 40s, like say she's divorced and ready to get wild, the guys in the 40s, they may be, if she's good looking, okay, a hookup. But if they're actually looking for something serious, like say they've been bachelors their whole lives, maybe they want a son or something, they're going to settle with the gals in their 20s and 30s. And you're going to see this. She says, actually, it didn't start out badly. I first discovered that there were 23-year-olds who wanted to have sex with older, pudgy 48-year-old me, so I did that for a while. I also discovered that there were good-looking men in their 30s who wanted to date me, so I did that too. But as time wore on, I realized that all the sex that was available to me, these men didn't have any interest in long-term, loving relationships. Imagine that. That's the same old story. Okay, hookups. And let me tell you, I know a couple gals, this is their story, and they're in their 40s, and they seem surprised. It's like you had all these options when you're younger. Why do you seem to think that you're so much of a catch you're going to get dudes in their 40s and 50s that can get gals younger and prettier and with a better attitude, I might add? Eventually, I got off the dating apps like OkCupid and Bumble that only yield for me young men looking for sex only. In the past year or so, I tried dating sites for people over the age of 50. That should do it, right? No, young men looking for sex only on ourtime.com. Unfortunately, what I found on sites like OurTime and Silver Singles is a lot of nothing. I've sent men messages and smiles, and have responded to their messages and smiles. But most of these messages and smiles were from fake profiles, which is to say scammers who were looking for someone they could hook emotionally until she would send them money. I spent over a year now on those over age 50 sites, and for all the money they've cost, they haven't yielded a single connection. Welcome to reality. This is why a lot of gals that are in marriages that just figure, hey, he's good to me and all, but you know what, I'm bored, so I'll just, instead of trying to actually work on things and communicate right, I'm gonna be free, I'm gonna be a free agent, and I got plenty of options. Well, a lot are figuring out it's not that easy. Hookups, no problem if you're decent looking, but serious relationships, especially nowadays when more and more men are waking up to reality. I think the problem for over age 50 is that any dating app relies on the rightward swipe, and we Americans love youth. Gray hair, sagging skin, and extra pounds make us think of grandparents, not someone we can fall in love with. Well, then take some action to lose the weight, because she says she has extra pounds. Lose the weight, get on, start eating healthy, get maybe a nice a Weight Watchers app or a dieting app to help you eat a certain amount of foods per day so you can drop the pounds, join a gym, exercise, you're in your 50s, so okay, get a trainer so you can be taught how to work out. Take care of your skin, take care of your hair, dress better, all that. You can improve your looks and you'll help yourself out, but don't just go like throw your hands in there and say, well, in a way shaming guys because they don't want women that are pudgy and bad skin and all that. Well, duh. Work on yourself. I know women in their 50s that look good for their age. It can be done. She says, no dating service that starts with looking at a static image will go well for us because to Americans, only youth is photogenic. Does that leave me alone for the rest of my life? Well, no. It means methods of meeting people that rely on a photo to be swiped is a terrible idea for me. It's a terrible idea for anyone in my age group, which is Generation X, by the way. We middle-aged people, yes, we are middle-aged, need other ways to meet. Well, I don't want to hear the complaining about the whole we're so focused on pictures and looks and all that, because guess what? I guarantee if she was 20 years younger, or 25 years younger in her 20s and in her prime, and she was on the dating apps, if she warped her younger self to our time now, she'd be just as picky with the dating apps with guys. Because, let's be honest, the top 5% of the guys are ones that get all the attention from the gals in the dating apps. Looks and all their other areas, She says, I come across much better in person than as a two-dimensional image. So from now on, I'm simply going to find potential dates as I go about my professional life, which requires lots of networking, and my personal life, which has lots of active socializing. I regularly make friends throughout the professional organizations I belong to, the clubs I run, and other groups I'm in. Sometimes I make new friends just talking to strangers in restaurants or waiting for public transportation. In other words, she's doing it old school. Because nowadays people have forgotten how to actually communicate with each other and you go out in public. You go out anywhere in public now, people are in line somewhere and they're glued to their phones, checking out social media or something like that. Nobody actually talks anymore. I make it a point to converse when I'm out just to practice. She says, sure, I'm on year 6 and trying to re-enter the dating pool, but I'm not in a hurry. In my 30s, I felt an urgency to partner up and settle down. But now that I've established a perfectly fine life of my own, I figure the relationship will happen when it happens. I go swinging down the street unattached, free electron, and unmanifest wish. Until I find my next relationship, I get to flirt with the whole world. Well, let's not get carried away, honey. Start taking care of yourself. Lose the extra pounds you speak of. Better diet, using the certain apps to help you out along the way. Join a gym, dress better, grow your hair long, dye your graying hair, take care of your skin, go to the salon, regular trips to the salon a couple times a month. Manicures, pedicures, whatever you got to do. That will help you immensely. But don't just, men don't want me. You got to take care of yourself, but also be realistic. You're in your 50s. So if you think dudes in their 50s that can easily get gals in their 30s or 20s, what do you think they're going to go for? It is what it is. But again, you are longing for this lifestyle, so this is what you get. All right, guys, now we're on to the woman in her 40s. Similar situation. The title of her article is, Dating in Your Late 40s Sucks. Start, my marriage ended about 8 months ago, and I think I've gone through the 5 stages of grief to process that. Or I just got too tired and finally just said screw it and let all the angst and grief go. Phew. So I'm dating now, or trying to, but it's not really going smoothly. In fact, it kind of sucks. Imagine that. Not so easy anymore, huh? Again, how many of these gals, hey, I'm going to get divorced. My friends are all divorced. They were urging me to get divorced. We can all be divorced together. It's going to be easy. Not so much. Again, if you take care of yourself and your above average looks, which takes work in your 40s, believe me, you can get dudes. But it's not going to be so easy to find dudes to commit, especially guys that have been divorced and been through it already. They're not, especially nowadays with the knowledge that's out there, they're not going to be so eager to jump back into it. And if they are, and they're guys that actually have value, a lot of things going for them, they're going to go for the younger ones. Starts off, she says, dating is hard. Dating in your 40s after being married for a decade is harder. Dating during a pandemic is, what the hell is it? What is this world? How do I meet someone? What do I do? What are the rules in this apocalyptic world that I was not prepared for? What are hookups? What's ethical non-monogamy? Who do I let in my bubble and when? What's wrong with saying you want a commitment and some depth and hey, maybe a back rub now and then? Well, we are in Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0, so commitment? What's that? We're in the area of open relationships, open marriages, polyamorous relationships, friends with benefits. And remember, be careful what you wish for. For these gals that, it's going to be so much better. Yeah, my husband was good to me and paid all the bills and treated me well, but there's just something wasn't there. And rather than work on it and try to give the guy a chance, because he really does love me, I'm just going to end it. And I can date all the guys I want. Well, it's not always so easy. She says, I find it difficult to go to the post office, let alone trying to navigate dating apps that encourage you to judge people only on their appearances. Seeing a common theme here? More complaining about the people being judged by their appearances. Men are visual creatures. If you're not taking care of yourself in the looks department, you're not going to get a whole lot of attention. It is what it is. Just the same as if a guy doesn't have a job and he doesn't have a car. If he lives in the city, he may not need a car, but you get my point. He lives with his parents. He's not going to be very appealing to women. So you ladies got to do what you got to do, which you know deep down you got to do to attract the opposite sex, to attract men. And men got to do what they got to do. Don't complain about it. It is what it is. She says, except I don't feel bad for judging the dude in a too tiny Speedo straddling a motorcycle and waving a Confederate flag. That dude deserves to be judged. So I'm dating. I think I said that, and I'm not very good at this. I chatted a bit with people, met a few men. It took a while to work up the courage to meet anyone. I kept setting up profiles and deleting them. But then I decided to take a chance. The first few people I met were nice, smart, interesting. And maybe one or two of them will become friends. But there was no chemistry. No sparks. I promised myself that the next relationship I have, there will be sparks. Because the physical connection is important. And I want that. I want sparks. Well, she's already focusing on relationships. But it sounds like she hasn't been divorced that long. Pretty quick jumping into relationships. Then I met someone I had sparks with. Burning embers. A hot inferno maybe. I don't know. Probably a bad boy. We were attracted to each other. The sparks were there. That was nice. To feel attracted to someone, to know that I was capable of that, to feel them be attracted to me, I know that was a possibility. But how do you get to know someone who is new to you? You can't go out to restaurants or movies, no trips to a city or wine tasting in northern Michigan. How do you go past the initial chemistry with someone who is really a stranger? She's obviously referring to the era of COVID where things are closed. I took a chance. Maybe it was foolish, but I didn't feel foolish. It felt human. I fumbled my way through a couple of dates. We cooked dinner, laughed, had some wine, talked, made out on the couch like teenagers. But he was looking for someone who was athletic. Someone who likes to ski and be outside. And I am not that someone. Well, if athletic is his code for obviously a more youthful, in-shape, fit body, there are things you can do, just like I said about the lady in her 50s. Join a gym. Exercise, work out. You don't need to look like a female bodybuilder, but you can do exercise to shape your body. Again, this is a woman in her 40s. Believe me, I know women in their 40s look damn good for their age. You go to the gym, and these women in their 40s, the gym I go to, and I can tell they're in their 40s because you can see in their face, but their bodies, they look great. They're like girls in their 20s, but they work very hard at it. Can be done. She says, I wanted to say I'd love to learn how to ski. My family was super poor and we didn't have money for all the gear and the cost of skiing. I never had money or time for that, except maybe I could now. Skiing is a privilege I've never had. I'd love to learn. I want to be more active. I just need some help. I stopped myself from saying all that. Good call, Tanya. I said I'd leave it up to him if we continue to see each other. I'd like to see where it could go. He didn't answer me. Well, there you go. You should have, in that situation, actually made a little more effort to try to make it work instead of I'll just let him deal with it. I'm not angry about it. Yeah, you are. He knows what he wants. He wants someone he's attracted and is athletic. We all have wants. Maybe we should honor them. Maybe my divorces happened because at the beginning, I set aside the things I really wanted. I said, I can do it without that. It's important to me, but really, it's fine. This will be enough. You can see how her mind is just kind of going all over the place. Guys ever happen to notice a bunch of gals at a party or gathering, sitting around the table talking, and it's like they have like 7 different conversations at the same time. They all actually remember what the people were saying, and the guys are walking by like, what the hell are they talking about? It's kind of also how some of these gals' minds work, where there's all this shit going on in their head. That's what this article's kind of like. We'll get through it, guys. She says, guess what? It wasn't enough. Not forever. And a nod to my life coach, Julie, who helped me figure this out. What do I want? Who do I want? I want someone who I'm attracted to and I can have an emotional bond with. Someone who I can understand on a deeper level. I want to connect. I want a relationship that is monogamous, intimate, and alive. We're getting a lot of wants here. I want a partner who I don't have to apologize to for who I am and who I'm not. I want a partner who I don't have to dim down for. I guess this is a really tricky thing about dating in your 40s after a long relationship. You know enough to know what you don't want. The trick is waiting for what you do want. Well, lady, the problem is that when gals like you have a list so long of the things you want, that is never going to happen. There are certainly deal breakers. I can understand that. But I cover this all the time in these videos about these articles. It's just this never-ending list of wants. It's unbelievable. And you wonder why you're alone. And let me tell you guys, as the gals get older, they can't be as picky because, let's be honest, the prime is in the late teens and 20s. Again, they can look damn good for their age and be cool and all those things, but still, it's not the same as when they're younger. It can't be as demanding. She says, so I'm dating, I'm on the apps. I'm thinking of spring and going for walks and going to the beach. I'm dreaming of a life beyond the pandemic lockdown. A life I can savor. I'm thinking of whoever that person is that I eventually share my life with is going to love spending time with me. Will love how I look and feel. Will love that when I ask him, how are you doing? That I really mean it. I really want to know he'll love my kisses and my skin and my mind and my heart. Maybe he'll help me learn how to ski. I'm not sure I'm looking forever, but I'm looking for someone meaningful. Is he out there? I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to have fun trying to figure it all out. Well, it doesn't sound like she's having a whole lot of fun yet, and she's obviously new to this, but it is not as easy as she obviously thought it was, as was the woman in the thing before. So, I guess my message and the point of this whole video is that any ladies that stumble upon this video, you can understand if you're in a marriage now, and okay, it's been a long time and things aren't as glamorous as you feel like you're entitled to have, or they're not as glamorous as what they show in the movies. Remember, the dude you're with, he's not perfect. Neither are you. But if he's good to you, takes care of the family, he's loyal, all that, you might want to consider having communication and trying to work it out before you just say, that's it. I'm going to be single again. I can get any dude I want, and I'm going to be just as appealing as I was in my 20s. It's not going to be that way. It doesn't work. And even if you really are darn good looking and take care of yourself, it's not the same because you may get hookups. That's not going to be hard. If you're above average or even average, let's be honest, there'll be some dude wanting to hook up. But relationships, not so much, especially in today's world. And I'm sure a lot of guys here have known gals, 40s and 50s, and they've heard the complaints and the stories and all that. Same old thing. Anyhow, guys, thought that'd be a good one to cover here. We'll bring a little reality to how things are. That is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.